Hello everyone, if you have not been following the BSC, fair enough because it's exam season and I'm about to start exams, so this will probably be my last video before that. But if you have been following, you know that Hmble have just won the Brawl Cup and it was an incredible grand finals against Foot. Another EMEA monthly final grand finals. To be honest, it was going to happen anyway. So we are going to go through those games, go through the sets and explain how Hmble's strategy going into Brawl Cup and into the grand finals was just incredible to watch. Let's start off with the global bans. Hmble went with Mina and Mortis and Foot went with Piers and Lumi. Now Mina and Piers, obviously Hmble banned that against Angel Boy and Foot banned that for Luki. They also banned the Mortis and Lumi being really strong right now in the meta, and Mortis is just always strong and also an aggro brawler, and I'm pretty sure given Angel Boy and Lane are pretty good at aggro brawlers, they didn't want to face another one. And Lumi's just a great overall brawler, so just get her out the way. And with that, we go into the first set, which is Hot Zone Ring of Fire. I won't go through all the bans, but you can see them below. And Foot have the first pick and they go with Finks. Really good control brawler, able to hold down that middle and use the super to slow down projectiles. Hmble respond with a Chester and Leon, a very quick draft, which makes me think that they just wanted these brawlers immediately. They either had a game plan or they just knew these brawlers were really good, and they are really good. In this map, the Chester and Leon can act almost like control brawlers and they're just chipping away with like the slight range on them. But Chester's also good to prevent any tanks from Foot, and Leon can be sneaky and just like dive in and get any takedowns if he can, so really good picks. Ruffs and Kenji for Foot. Ruffs really good support brawler, able to give out those bonus treats, and Kenji being a fantastic tank, kind of tank assassin hybrid, and he can just charge at Hmble and just try and take down the Leon and just cause chaos and allow space for Binks and Ruffs to move onto the zone. And Hmble, excellent pick here. They went with Draco, and the reason this is such a good pick is that the Chester and Leon are your control and aggressive brawlers. However, alone they're not going to have the health and they're not going to have the damage to get forward, especially against the Ruffs and the Finks, who probably have a slightly larger range. Therefore, you get the Draco as your health brawler, and also the super allows you to run up the field, spread that fire damage and just cause some chaos and create that space just like the Kenji does. It's a really good pick because it's got a lot of health, which is really essential right now. And as you'll see, Draco can also kind of counter Kenji, or maybe that's just Boss being insane on Draco. We start the first game with a quite patient start. You'll notice how Leon stays in the middle as he can't go to the right because of the Ruffs bouncing shots on the side. Lane dives in a bit too much and able to bait the Kenji and take him down, which allows Hmble to push up the zone. Boss gets that super and the game properly begins now. Draco cleans out the Kenji and Chester holds the mid really well. Lots of chip damage from Chester, and Leon gently pressures Foot backwards, and the Kenji is threatening this left side, but thanks to the wall he can just stay there and just be kind of a nuisance and a worry for Hmble. The Finks super really helps control the middle zone and shuts down the Draco super a little bit. The problem is that the projectiles are still quite slow and are widespread. That means that Foot can't get on the zone themselves, and it kind of helps Hmble ever so slightly. So it's kind of unfortunate that Hmble have that Draco pick, but it can also help the Finks with the speed shot. So it's kind of 50-50, but in Humble's favor slightly. Eventually cracks form as Hmble keep winning those duels and apply pressure as the Draco hyper super helps them win the final percentage and win the first game. Game 2 is a little harder for Hmble. There's great control from the Finks and Ruffs, and Kenji is becoming even more threatening. Lane is really unlocking the Kenji power. The sandbags are also helping stopping the Leon shurikens and make it hard for him to deal any chip damage and keep Foot on the zone. But Boss on this Draco is doing an incredible job right now. He is dealing that damage, getting those takedowns and putting so much pressure on Foot, forcing them back. And because Foot don't have that anti-tank or high damage brawler other than the Kenji, I guess, they're really struggling to take him down. But when they do, it's massive for them and they're able to take control. Semantic has this kind of weird Hyper Leon moment, but regardless, Foot win this one, and things are starting to heat up in this first set. Into the final game, I just want to note this Leon gadget at the start. It helps Hmble just get that speed and push onto the zone first, and they managed to push back Foot a little bit. Chester finally gets the super he needs to break open this wall, and that kind of changes the game on its head. Because Lane on the Kenji just can't hide behind this wall, he can't heal, he has to sit back on the left side bushes, and it makes it easier for Hmble to deal with him when he charges in. The Think Super helps gain some mid control, and we kind of just have some back and forth trades going on. Hyper Super Chester regains a lot of control for Hmble, and we're entering the final phases of this game. But Boss on the Draco is absolutely cooking Foot right now. I mean, just look at this. He manages to evade death a few times, but this one was impressive because he now gets to stay in Foot's back line. But then the Kenji comes back, he buys a bit of time for Foot, and it becomes really, really tight at the end.
Boss has a gadget to get Hmble even. 98 to 97. Hmble and Semantic, the last one standing. What a set to start this series.
This game came down to the wire, literally 3% in the end. It was really balanced drafts and really tight mechanical gameplay. And Foot, they were just so close. They managed to almost bounce back after that second game and carry that momentum into the third. But Hmble are just on top of it, and Boss just kept getting better and better as the games went on. Hmble were mostly dominant in the middle. They were the ones generally stepping on the zone more than Foot. But when a member of Hmble went down, Foot were able to start gaining that zone again. Lane did excellent on the Kenji. He was able to really annoy Hmble and get into the bushes a lot of the time. But Boss was doing really good tackling him. And the Draco, again, excellent pick. He can just sit on the zone if he wants. He can pop the gadget to stay invincible. Use the super to heal. And his super just being a flaming dragon, just being so hard to get past without being melted. It's really hard to deal with him. And they just lack that anti-tank that would have helped Foot a lot. Maybe a lack of coordination at times, because I felt Foot could have put more pressure onto Hmble if they worked as a team. Whenever Lane went up by himself, I was expecting one of the Foot members to push forward with him and just provide some suppressive fire or supporting fire, but they kind of sat back a little too much. Understandable when you're facing Hmble, but at the same time, if you want to dominate this middle and want to stay alive and controlling, you need to work as a team. And I think when Hmble, when they were pushing up, they were staying as a team. The Chester and Leon sticking really close together, and the Draco just running past them when he was ready with his super, and it was just a really well worked team effort. So fantastic from Hmble at the start, and the competition only got better from here on. Set 2, we are on bridge to bar. We have some pretty typical bans here, and Hmble go 8-bit as their first pick. I can get it. 8-bit is really good damage dealer. He can hold down his lane most of the time, but he's really slow, and you need that support around him to help him push up. But Foot, they managed to pick a Nani and an Edgar. Now Nani in this game, I think slightly outranges 8-bit, as you'll see, and it becomes really hard for the 8-bit to push up down his lane at all. And Edgar, wow, he's just been insane right now. Luffy was dominating with earlier the weekend, and he's just going to dominate again this Edgar. Hmble respond with a Chester to address the Edgar, and also a Melody to try and provide some other sort of safe damage, attacker kind of thing. But Foot final pick a Belle, and she's a great defensive brawler with the super and just being a sharpshooter and her super dealing more damage. Excellent pick here, and a very typical pick as well. Game 1, the 8-bit is on this left lane, and he's getting outranged, outspeeded, and just outdone by this Nani, and is struggling to get anywhere up this lane. I think he's falling further back every few seconds. Angel Boy manages to jump on the Chester and beat him in a 1v1, which is kind of insane, and then he jumps on the 8-bit and gets some insane damage on the safe. So really good stuff from Foot here. And on the right, Luki is struggling on the Melody to make any kind of play on the Belle or on the safe, and then the Edgar is defending. So this Edgar is kind of carrying this team right now. He is so dangerous. As Semantic, he's not really winning these 1v1 duels against Edgar, and he really should be, but because the Edgar keeps using his gadget, keeps supering and just keeps jumping and healing, it's really hard to take him down. I don't even know if there's a good counter to Edgar. It might literally be Chester and maybe Cord. That's kind of it right now. It's kind of insane. The Nani is dominating the 8-bit. No one can stop the Edgar. And Foot have a solid defense if Hmble are making any pressure on their save. But it's just Foot dominance this first game and they win very easily. We have a lane swap in the second game. 8-bit stays in the middle, but he later goes back on the left lane. But with the support of the Chester, he can create space and kill the brawlers in the left lane and allows 8-bit to get on the safe a bit. Later on, the Nani and Bell get on Hmble's save and can deal some damage. Luki's lack of damage on the Melody is really haltering his progress. He really just cannot get past this right lane, cannot get past the Edgar or the Bell. And because the 8-bit can't get up either, both of the main attackers and aggression brawlers for Hmble are just being made redundant. They're kind of relying on the Chester on Semantic to help them up, but it shouldn't be like that. But it's looking bad for Hmble here. And then there's a moment where things were looking good for Hmble and it came down to the
by
wire.
just a shred of HP. It's 25.
Wait a minute.
But Foot Esports is safe, is disintegrating. Luki has all 3 nodes and he has the dashes. Meanwhile, Knox right on top of the safe, doing his best. 8% left for Foot Esports. Now defending this next push. A hypercharge popped for Semantic. And victory for Angel Boy, but it's still countered out.
Luki comes back off spawn just in time. The hypercharge super thrown down by Semantic. Now though, Mark on Boss. One more push for both teams surely would be enough. Boss comes forward, marked up as he is. Semantic now. He falls. Body blocking there from Angel Boy, but it may not be enough as Luki gets there. 1%! Semantic tries to block. The Pete gets it. And here comes Angel Boy. One punch will do it. On the very brink of defeat. It's a set snatched up here by Foot. And one of the closest Heist games you could ask for.
52 health points. That's insane. That's insane, man. That is so unbelievably close. But if I'm going to be honest, when I was watching this, I don't think it should have been this close. I think Foot should have swept this second game. I'm actually surprised Hmble managed to hold on for so long. It was just dominance by Foot. From the drafting to the mechanics and then just Edgar. Really well played from Foot. Unfortunate for Hmble, but all the credit to Foot again. Set 3, we are on Brawl Ball Super Beach. Now, according to some stats I heard in a broadcast, Hmble have only lost 1 set on this map in scrims. So they're already looking in a strong position. Now, looking at the Foot drafts, they banned the Stu, the Griff and the Shade. They're all brawlers all high aggressive brawlers that can either break walls or attack through them. Which makes sense because Foot have picked Willow as their first pick. A great controller, great thrower brawler who can really turn the game on its head and just a great defensive brawler as well. Now Hmble, they go with Otis and Chester, a double anti-tank. Normally this doesn't look that great, but in Brawl Ball it kind of doesn't matter because on this map as well, you want that damage, you want to stop any threats from reaching your base, reaching your goal. But final pick, a Charlie, which is like an anti-tank controller hybrid. They also pick a BB, which is really confusing because of the Otis and Chester. They're literally going into 2 anti-tanks. Not sure why, but because they were so determined on this Willow pick, they must have a game plan surely. But because of this Willow and Charlie, Hmble don't currently have a way to address it, and they need some kind of aggressive brawler to face the Willow and Charlie and prevent them from like dominating this match. And so the perfect pick for this, which is the available pick, is Edgar, being able to jump over the walls to get to the Willow and jump again if he needs to dodge any supers from both of these controlling brawlers. Excellent pick from Hmble. And this Edgar again is gonna run wild in this game. Into game 1, BB tries to run down the Chester and Otis on this right side but fails miserably. Meanwhile, this Edgar is running up, destroying the Willow and scores the first goal. The Chester and Otis link up on this BB to strong. They're working really well together to deny this BB making any progress on the goal and getting any kills really. She's really struggling. Meanwhile, so Edgar is on a solo mission against a Charlie and Willow, and it's like a perfect synergy matchup. Now you'll see here, Nob misses a super on the Edgar and hits the wall, which is kind of unfortunate here, but it doesn't concede a goal, so it's not detrimental. Chester opens up the map to stop this Willow, and the Willow uses a super, but it's kind of wasted when she could have used it later to defend a goal. Hmble are doing an amazing job running down this BB, but in the final moments, Foot have possession of the ball and they're running it down in the final few seconds. And one last play, it almost results in a goal, but I think there was a clever comms here where Semantic chose this left side to defend the shot. He saves it, and that's the game. Game 2, Semantic just popped off on the Edgar this game. It was no stopping him. Triple kill and a goal in the first 19 seconds. Absolutely insane. And Foot faced try with an Edgar Luffy this time, and I don't know why they didn't carry this idea of Edgar being so good in Brawl Ball into a ban or a pick or something. I'm sure they're regretting it now. There's a split attack by Foot where they're taking kind of 2 to 3 different lanes, and because they've spread out and there's no Edgar here right now, they're able to score a goal. By spreading out their brawlers, it means that Chester and Otis can't work together on the same brawler at once, making it hard to get the takedown and just overwhelming them. So it's a good goal by Foot, but Semantic, well, too strong, just cooking Foot on this Edgar and scores. And the game is done like that. It's a perfect draft from Hmble. Double anti-tank, which could be considered dangerous if they went controllers, like they kind of did, but because of the Edgar as the perfect last pick to focus on the other 2 controlling brawlers, that means they can focus on the BB, take it down, then join the Edgar in the main fight and just control and dominate this game. And the Willow and Charlie, they had the supers, they had the utility. On paper, they kind of should beat the Edgar most of the time with a super, but Semantic's just popping off with the jumps and just, yeah, Edgar's running wild. I don't know why he wasn't banned, but it's great from Hmble, and they're now 2-1 up and could win in this next set. Set 4, gem grab double swoosh. The first pick for Hmble is an Ems, which is a great anti-tank controller hybrid and will be the main gem carrier for Hmble. Now, Foot go with a Mo and Lily pick, 2 kind of aggressive brawlers, and aggressive is kind of the play here. You want to dominate this right lane with the bushes and also see if you can sneak on this left lane, because if you could push Hmble back to their spawn, then this is perfect. You just hold them there for as long as possible and wait for those gems to stack up and then just control the game from there. Now Hmble respond well with a Kit and Nita. Starting with the Nita can pair it with the Ems as another anti-tank, but they can also link together well. Make sure that not one of them dies with the gems if the Lily or Mo attacks them, making sure they're tight together and defending. And the Nita Bear can cause a lot of problems for Foot's draft. And the Kit is the aggressive brawler, making some plays in case they need to come back from a gem deficit, and just a great aggressive brawler really. And Foot, they final pick Janet, which is the main control brawler and the main gem carrier. Starting in game 1, we have Semantic on the Kit rushing at Nob and winning that duel. Meanwhile, Angel Boy on the Lily is running on Ems, forcing her back into spawn, and that creates some time and space for Janet to get some gems. Hyper Bear by Boss is helping push back Foot into their spawn a little bit, and the Ems manages to stop Lily a few times from getting any assassin kills. Semantic is playing super aggressive and sometimes just dying to make sure that his teammates stay alive and in control of the zone. However, in the final few seconds, it gets really close again.
In only a few seconds, otherwise Angel Boy's gonna vanish into the Shadow Realm. 10 seconds to go, Nob with a hypercharge, looks for 1 or 2, but can't get either. Semantic with a jump, and Angel Boy wasn't ready! Should be getting the interruption, but no! What? They can't kill him in time, and Fun Esports hang on!
If there was a few more seconds here, maybe even half a second, Hmble could have killed the Lily, reset the timer, maybe even collected the gems and escaped. But Foot, they timed it perfectly and they win this first game. Game 2, there's a slight change of aggro plans. Kit goes on this left side and attacks behind this wall, and the Lily kind of just stays put slightly. Later in this match, Foot are able to get that aggressive pinch on Hmble and force them back into spawn, and they stay there for a few seconds, but thanks to Semantic on the kit, they were able to escape and regain some control. Ems and Nita working really well together in this middle, and Nita can eventually go on the right lane and kind of dominate for a bit of the map. But when they know the Lily is close or Lily's got super, then Nita will come back, join the Ems and protect her with the gems and just not risking anything at all, because one takedown and the game's gone for Hmble. And Boss again being fantastic on this Nita, forcing back Foot the whole time, and also thanks to Bruce. Again, it's another really close
the right side has no super. Lena's just going to go for it as much damage as he can. Angel Boy also has the hypercharge. So where's the connection? Lukey so far away. Angel Boy into the realm and no one to interrupt. As soon as it looked like Foot were in control, Hmble advance on to match point.
Hmble defend really well just about in this situation, but we're going to look back on this later because there could have been a very different outcome. On to game 3, which would be the match point for Hmble. Hmble are able to stop the Lily at the start and get a lot of control, which is a great way to begin this third game. The kit is high pressing this right lane and the Ems and Nita are working together in the middle, but again force Hmble back into their spawn for even longer this time, and they kind of just keep dying and keep building their utility until Semantic can use his super to force Foot back and gain some control again. The first countdown starts in Foot's favour, but Lukey can collect the gems in the middle and set it 10-10. And Hmble stay really close together here, and they're not even risking this one gem in the middle that Lily collects. Like I said, one mistake and it's over for them. One mistake and they're going to a set 5, and they really don't want that. There's one good play from Semantic and he's able to get an essential kill, grab some gems and able to push back all the way. And we're into the final showdown.
Lukey retreating onto the right side. They need a savior from above. Lena is going to do everything he can, but the pins are in the air. Can you hear it? The voice is calling your name. They're singing the praises of Brawl True Gods.
Legacies are not built in a day. They're not built overnight. It's weeks, months, years of consistent excellence, commitment to victory. And we are witnessing that exact legacy being built right before our eyes. In front of a home crowd, the adoring EMEA fans, Hmble will ascend to take their second consecutive Brawl Cup title. This team are here to do it all, and this year might once again be their year.
And that's that. One incredible play from Semantic on the kit, and Hmble win Brawl Cup. It's not a 3-2 set victory, but it sure as hell felt like one when I was watching. What an incredibly close and tight game. I could feel my heart pounding when I was watching this live. It was so thrilling and entertaining to watch, especially with the crowds. What an incredible venue, an incredible tournament we had. Now I've kind of done the deep analysis into this, so let's do our evaluation. And there's 3 points I want to raise for why I think Hmble were just better this time. No disrespect to Foot because it was very level, but Hmble just have that edge which put them slightly higher this time. The first thing I'll say that Hmble did better was their drafting. In my opinion, this entire tournament, Hmble drafted better than any other team. In fact, the only 2 sets in this Brawl Cup where they lost were down to drafting issues. One against Bounty Hunters in the group stage at Brawl Ball where they didn't pick an anti-tank, and then against Foot on Heist where the draft, well, just kind of crumbled in the end, and Foot had the better draft than bad. But in the other 3 games of the grand finals, both sides' drafts were good, but you could tell that Hmble just had the edge in the drafting and were just kind of winning those brawler to brawler matchups on paper and also mechanically. Like on Hot Zone, Hmble had the controller and anti-tank in the middle versus the double controller for Foot, and the Chester made a big difference. Brawl Ball was a double anti-tank versus anti-tank and control, but the focus on the BB whilst Edgar dealt with the other two brawlers was so essential. And then Gem Grab, by taking two anti-tank brawlers, anti-tank controller brawler hybrids, they stuck together, securing the gems, securing their safety, and managed to maintain that mid control for most of the game, which helped them see the game out to the end. Hmble's drafting was impeccable, and it is what makes them the best at it. Like I said, Foot were not by any means bad at all, and their drafting was very good as well. Most of the time it did come down to mechanics, and Lenane did fantastic on the brawlers he was on, in particular that hot zone game with the Kenji. He was fantastic at running it down. But in the end, Hmble, well, they won, and they won because of mechanics and drafting. The second point I want to raise is double downing brawlers with the same class. What I mean by this, if we look back at Hmble's draft, Hot Zone, they had Chester and Leon, which doubled down together as a mid-control brawlers like anti-tank and controller sort of, just chipping damage and not allowing Foot to get on the zone that easily. It also kind of helped with the spread attacks of Chester and Leon as well, which made them the control brawlers as I'm describing them as. Brawl Ball, they had Otis and Chester as double anti-tanks, which managed to really stop the BB at almost every chance. And in Gem Grab, Ems and Nita, general control and anti-tank hybrid brawlers, I'd consider them, but they were sticking together the whole time. They were stopping any Lily getting on them with a super or gadget, and they were stopping the Mo from any dives or whatever. So they were working really well together. And so these double brawler picks really helped them a lot. Whilst they had Semantic or something on the Edgar or on the Kit, and he was just jumping around and attacking and being the aggressive brawler that creates a space to help Hmble push up this map. So really good synergy here. And the final thing I want to mention is teamwork, and this is in a way unfair for Foot, but I'll get into that in a second. And of course, teamwork is essential to any team game, and especially in Brawl Stars esports. But like I was saying about double brawler kind of class matchups, it shows that they're relying on each other and sticking with one another in matchups. I would say that in a brawler matchup, brawler of Foot versus one brawler of Hmble, Foot would probably win most of the time, 8 out of 10 times maybe. Unless you're boss on Draco, like that was insane, there was no stopping that in Hot Zone. But when it comes to 2-on-2, Hmble just have that understanding of each other, powerful chemistry and aggro to win those duels. That comes down to the LAN experience and being a roster for almost 2 years, maybe even more years, I don't even know. It feels like they've been together forever. And those double duels help them win the triple duels and the games. And look, we can keep saying that Foot and Guesty and Lenane was fantastic, by the way. Incredible performance by him. We can keep saying that if they had Guesty, it would have been different. But my opinion, and I do mean this, unbiased, I think Hmble would still have it. I don't think Guesty replacing Lenane would have changed too much. Maybe there would be a few plays that would have been better coordinated, but I also feel that Hmble were really tight in everything. They barely made any mistakes, and for that reason I still think Hmble would win. Maybe it would have been 3-2, and it should have been 3-2 really, to one of these teams at least, because look at this gem grab moment.
Knob in from the right side, has no super. Lena's just going to go for it as much damage as he can. Angel Boy also has the hypercharge. So where's the connection? Lukey so far away. Angel Boy into the realm and no one...
Nob somehow threw his super the wrong way entirely. And wow, if he landed that, that would have been a definite kill. I mean, it would have been really close. Lukey in the end gets down to about 1/3 of his health. And Angel Boy is out the question here. He was in the Shadow Realm. If Nob connected his super, I still don't think he would have won, but it's really tight. It's really, really close. Because Boss is still alive. He's dropped down the Hyper Bear, so whoever collects the gems is going to get a few beatings from Bruce. Janet is just fallen from the sky, and she's on 704 health, so she probably will die with the gems. Boss still has 1/3 of his health. Someone is respawning. Semantics respawning. He could have easily taken him down. So I still think Hmble would just about win this moment. But my goodness, if he had hit that and they managed to escape, this would have been an entirely different grand finals. Foot could have won it. But Hmble won in the end, and well, as a Hmble fan, I am very pleased. But overall, I'm more than pleased, because not only has my team won, but EMEA has won. If we think about it, a World Final spot, LCQ spot, that means we're sending 4 teams definitely to World Finals. And there is a chance we send 2 more, meaning half of this year's World Finals could be made of EMEA teams. That is incredible to think about. And that increases our chances so much more for EMEA to become the best region in the world. Phew. A lot of analysis. I really hope I covered everything. Incredible Brawl Cup. I do have a few things I want to talk about, but I might save that for later as like a Brawl Cup overview analysis of how everything went. But overall, I'm very pleased with it. I'm already talking about the next video. Right, I'm done. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We reached 1.1k subscribers, which is insane. So thank you on the 1k subscribers as well. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you all later, Sproutlings. Let's go Hmble. Bye.